Good morning. Welcome to Advocates of Children of New Jersey's presentation on the Newark Kids Count 2026 report, which is being released today. My name is Sue Flynn. I am the chair of ACNJ's Board of Trustees. It is a pleasure to be with you all this morning. Newark Kids Count 2026 is a data report that highlights trends in the well-being of children and youth in Newark. The report includes data on approximately 100 indicators across demographics: family economic security, child health, child protection, early learning, education, and teens. ACNJ has published Newark Kids Count reports for over 25 years with the support of the Prudential Foundation and the Victoria Foundation. Why does ACNJ publish Kids Count data in reports like the Newark Kids Count and ACNJ's County Pocket Guide? Well, policymakers, elected officials, and government agencies need accurate data to make informed decisions about programs impacting children and families. Service providers use it to improve their response to child-related issues in their communities. Grant writers use it to seek support for programs that help children and families. Concerned residents like you can use the data to become better advocates. Alena Siddiqui, ACNJ's data analyst, will now share data from each section of the report, which is linked on the homepage of ACNJ's website at acnj.org. You will hear about areas showing progress and others that continue to pose challenges that prevent every child in our state from reaching their fullest potential. Alena and other ACNJ staff have made the data more accessible by adding text explaining certain indicators. There is more data that she can share in today's presentation, so please download the report from the ACNJ website and share it with the colleagues, friends, and families. I am also very pleased that following Alena's presentation, we will be joined by Roger León, Superintendent of Newark Public Schools, to share his thoughts, and then by Lauren Meehan from the Arts Ed Network, will provide information from their program. Please put your questions in the Q&A, and Alena and Mary Coogan, ACNJ's President and CEO, will take a few questions at the conclusion of our time together. I will now turn the microphone over to Alena.
Hi, thank you so much. Can you see my screen okay?
We can, thank you.
Okay. Okay. Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. I'll be presenting highlights from our recently released Newark Kids Count 2026 report, which provides a snapshot of the well-being and needs of children and families in Newark. We'll look at key indicators across areas such as housing, economic well-being, education, health, and family stability. The goal is to better understand the data, identify some of the key challenges facing Newark's children and families, and provide context for where continued attention and investment may be needed. Before we get into the data, I want us to think about what does it mean for a child to be well. Some of the things that may have come to mind include economic security, access to early learning, health, safety, education, and opportunities. Before we can understand how Newark's children are doing, it helps to understand who they are. An estimated 76,883 children called Newark home, and children make up 25% of the city's total population. 95% of the children in Newark are children of color, and 13% of children are foreign-born, meaning they were born outside of the United States and its territories. These numbers give us a starting point for understanding the community we're talking about and the diversity of experiences that shape childhood in Newark. Next, looking at who are Newark's youngest residents. In 2024, there were 3,896 births in Newark, according to the most recent finalized data available from the New Jersey Department of Health. The majority of these births were of Hispanic descent at 52%, followed by 40% being of Black non-Hispanic descent. 60% or 2,361 births were to foreign-born women, which was a 26% increase from 2020. Essex County and New Jersey also saw increases in rates in births to foreign-born women as well, but Newark saw the fastest. Economic security is more than whether a family is employed. It's whether families have enough resources to meet basic needs, weather unexpected costs, and provide children with stability and opportunity. Before we dive into the data, it's important to understand how federal poverty thresholds are determined and how they're used to define poverty and determine eligibility for social services. The federal poverty threshold are based on the cost of a basic food diet and adjusted for inflation and family size. And the poverty thresholds are the same across the country regardless of differences in the cost of living. Looking at the 2024 federal poverty thresholds for a family of four, for a family would be considered to be living in extreme poverty if they made less than 50% of the federal poverty level, which is $15,906 annually. They would be considered living in poverty if they made just below $31,812 and above $15,906, and they would be considered low income if they made 200% of the poverty level or less than $63,624. Here in New Jersey, where the cost of living is significantly higher than in many other parts of the country, that can create a gap between the federal definition of poverty and the actual cost of meeting basic needs. And for this reason, this $63,624 annually is often a more realistic measure of financial hardship in our state. Next, looking at how many children are living in poverty in Newark, we see that between 2015 and 2019 and 2020 to 2024, there's been a slight decrease in the percentage of children living in extreme poverty. We see that there has been a 7 percentage point decrease in children living in poverty and a 4 percentage point decrease in children who are low income. The median family income for Newark was $50,456 in 2020 to 2024, which is a 43% increase from previous years. Employment is one part of family economic security as well, but we want to also understand families' connection to the labor force more broadly. In Newark, 74% of children had all available parents in the labor force, which, according to the Census Bureau's definition of the labor force, this means that parents were either working or were actively looking for work. At the same time, Newark's unemployment rate has been gradually rising, as is a similar trend for Essex County and New Jersey as well. Newark's median rent was $1,392 in 2020 to 2024, a 26% increase from previous years. With increasing median income, we're seeing this increase in median rent, and the graph on the right describes households spending too much money on rent. Rent places a significant financial burden on Newark households, as over half of renter households in Newark are considered to be cost burden, as they are spending 30% or more of their income on rent alone. Then, nearly 1 in 3 renter households spend at least half or more of their income on rent, and they are considered to be severely cost burdened. When we look at the New Jersey SNAP, which is the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, 27,990 Newark children were receiving benefits in 2025. That's 7,728 fewer children than in 2021. We see a similar decline with New Jersey Family Care. In 2026, 56,512 Newark children under 19 were enrolled in the program. This is 5,825 fewer children than in 2023, right before the redetermination period started. Some things to keep in mind are federal changes to work requirements, including a new requirement for some adults to complete 80 hours per month of work or community engagement, and changes to non-citizen eligibility may mean that some adults currently enrolled in SNAP and New Jersey Family Care could lose their coverage. However, if a parent loses eligibility for SNAP or New Jersey Family Care because they do not meet the work or community engagement requirement or because of their immigration status, their children can still remain enrolled. It's important for participants to respond to all notices from New Jersey Family Care and their County Board of Social Services and provide any requested information. They should also report changes to their contact information so the programs can reach them when needed. When discussing school breakfast and lunch participation in Newark for 2025, note that 87% of Newark public school students who were receiving free lunch also utilized the free breakfast program, showing strong resource use. Participation rate varies among charter schools. For instance, Discovery Charter School had a 96% participation rate, while Robert Treat Academy Charter School had a 39% rate. For a complete list of schools participating in the school breakfast and lunch program, please see the Newark Kids Count 2026 report. But understanding these disparities is crucial for meeting students' needs. Eligibility for free meals extends to families earning up to 224% of the federal poverty level, which is $72,016 annually for a family of four, meaning 2 adults and 2 children in 2025. This context highlights the economic landscape and the program's community impact. Next, looking at some infant and maternal health data, a child's well-being begins before birth. The care a mother receives during pregnancy, having a healthy birth, and those first few months of life can all have a lasting impact on a child's health and development. Prenatal care is an important part of keeping both mom and baby healthy and identifying any potential concerns early on. That's why early prenatal care, which is prenatal care beginning in the first trimester, is so important. Newark has seen a 25% drop in the number of women receiving early prenatal care since 2020, and at the same time, we're also seeing that prenatal care beginning in the second trimester has gradually been increasing. In 2020, 29% of expecting mothers began prenatal care in their second trimester, and this has now risen to 39% in 2024. Starting care early can help support a healthy pregnancy and give both mom and baby the best possible start. Overall, Newark has seen a decrease in both preterm births and babies born with low birth weights. Despite this decrease, racial disparities are apparent. Although the numbers aren't seen on this graph, the blue line represents Black non-Hispanic infants, the green is the overall rate in Newark, and then the yellow represents Hispanic infants. Looking at these two graphs, we see that while the preterm births and babies born with low birth weights are decreasing for Black and non-Hispanic infants as well, their rate is still higher than that of the city. In 2024, the preterm birth rate for Newark as a whole was 10.4%. For Black non-Hispanic infants, it was 12%, and for Hispanic infants, it was 9%. For low birth weight in 2024, for Newark, it was 9.8%. For Black non-Hispanic infants, it was 12.9%, and for Hispanic infants, the rate was 7.6%. In 2025, 248 Newark families were served by state-funded intensive home visitation programs. For Newark families with the greatest needs, there are several voluntary, no-cost home visiting programs including Healthy Families, Parents as Teachers, and Nurse-Family Partnership. These programs provide ongoing support from trained professionals starting during pregnancy and continuing on through a child's early years. They help promote healthy pregnancies and child development, strengthen parent-child relationships, and improve school readiness and family well-being. Another program to highlight is the Family Connects New Jersey program. Since January of 2024, all Essex County families welcoming a new baby through birth, adoption, resource parenting, or kinship care are also eligible for a Family Connects New Jersey home visit. This is where specially trained nurses assess the health of the mother and baby, answer questions, identify potential concerns, and connect families to community resources. Families typically receive one visit with additional visits as needed. Because the program is relatively new, Newark and Essex County specific data are not yet available. Next, looking at some childcare data. In 2025, there were 122 licensed childcare centers in Newark with a capacity of 13,641. I do want to differentiate the difference between licensed capacity and actual availability. Licensed capacity is the maximum number of children a program is permitted to serve under state licensing requirements, while actual availability is the number of openings a program has at any given time, which is often lower than its licensed capacity. Since 2021, there are 7 less licensed child care centers in the city of Newark. Next, moving on to education data. Across the city of Newark, there are 64,774 pre-K through 12 students enrolled in the 25 to 26 school year. 33% of Newark students are in charter schools, and the rest are enrolled in Newark public schools. Looking at this chart at the enrollment broken down by race and ethnicity, for Newark public schools, we see that majority of students are of Hispanic descent, followed by 31% are Black or African American, 5% are white, and less than 1% are 2 or more races. For Newark charter schools, we see that 74% of the student body are Black or African American, followed by 22% are Hispanic, and then less than 5% are either white or of 2 or more races. Multilingual learners were formerly known as English language learners. They are students whose primary language is a language other than English and who have been identified as not yet having English language proficiency in writing, speaking, and listening. Newark Public Schools has seen a gradual increase in its multilingual learner enrollment, rising from 17% to 28% over the past 5 years. This means that nearly 1 in 3 NPS student is now a multilingual learner, highlighting the growing importance of providing effective support, inclusive practices, and equitable learning opportunities for multilingual learners across the district. Moving on to state testing data. In 2021 to 22, 15% of Newark Public School third graders were meeting or exceeding expectations in math and 19% for English language arts. Over the years, we see that scores have been gradually improving for NPS third graders, and on the 24 to 25 NJSLA exam, 28% of third graders met or exceeded expectations in both subjects. Performance for Newark Public School 8th graders tells a different story. Between 2021 to 22, 32% of NPS 8th graders met or exceeded expectations in English language arts, and this increased to 39% over the years. In contrast, 8th graders have been struggling in math as students have made little improvement, going from 11% to 12% in 4 years. During the 25 to 26 school year, the NJSLA Adaptive was taken for the first time, and it'll be interesting to see how students fare with the new testing format, as this new exam is taken entirely on the computer, with questions difficulty adapting in real time based on how the student is performing. Next, looking at chronic absenteeism data. We see that chronic absenteeism varies across grades and schools and can significantly affect student success. Students are deemed to be chronically absent if they miss 10% or more of the days they are enrolled in school. So in a 180-day school year, a child would be flagged as chronically absent if they miss 18 days or more. Newark Public Schools has a chronic absenteeism rate of 10%, below the state rate of 14%. Looking at charter schools, we see that Lead Charter School faces the highest rate of chronic absenteeism at 46%, and in contrast, Great Charter School has a lower rate of 8%. Looking at the bar chart, we see that comparing New Jersey to Newark Public Schools consistently has lower chronic absenteeism rates for each grade level. And although it's cut off for pre-K, the state's rate of chronic absenteeism was 30%. Moving forward, strategies to reduce absenteeism and promote consistent attendance are essential for improving educational outcomes in the city of Newark. The New Jersey State Seal of Biliteracy is an important recognition awarded to students who have achieved proficiency in English and at least one other language. This award not only celebrates students' multilingual abilities, but also enhances their future educational and career opportunities. In the 2024 to 25 academic year, a total of 460 seals of biliteracy were earned. Let's break this down by language, where the majority of these seals were earned in Spanish, with 323 seals awarded. Portuguese followed with 128, French had 8, and other world languages accounted for 1 seal. This upward trend in earning the seal of biliteracy within NPS signifies a growing emphasis on linguistic diversity and cultural understanding in our education system. Next, looking at the progress in high school graduation rates within Newark Public Schools. In the 24 to 25 academic year, the graduation rate reached 90%, up from 81% from 2020 to 2021. This increase reflects the ongoing efforts of students, educators, schools, and the broader community to support students through graduation. 12 high schools reported graduation rates of 90% or higher, including 4 schools that reached 100%. These numbers point to meaningful progress while also providing an opportunity to look more closely at what is contributing to these outcomes and where there is still more work to do. And just another reminder, if you want a complete list of high school graduation rates for all Newark public and charter schools, please see the Newark Kids Count 2026 report. Next, looking at births to teens have been decreasing for Newark, Essex County, and for New Jersey. We see for Newark in 2020, the percentage of births to teens ages 15 to 19 was almost 6%, and we see that it has now decreased to about 5.1%. We see that this decrease is good progress, but the rate of the city is still higher than that of the county and the state. Finally, looking at juvenile arrest data, Newark juvenile arrests have been decreasing over the years, and between 2021 and 2025, there's been a 32% decrease. Featured in Newark Kids Count 2026, if you read Mayor Baraka's letter, he gives credit to Newark's policing strategy and the creation of the Office of Violence Prevention and Trauma Recovery for this decline. Thank you so much for joining us. Just to get the ball rolling on more Newark Kids Count events, we are going to be having our first community conversation at Newark Public Library on October 6th. So if you're interested, please be sure to join us. And be sure to follow us on social media. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to contact me. My email is asiddiqui@acnj.org. Thank you.
Thank you, Alena. I hope people found that the information was very helpful. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mary Coogan, President and CEO of Advocates for Children of New Jersey. Welcome, and thank you for joining us as we release our Newark Kids Count 2026. Our next speaker is a man who needs no introduction, Roger León, a lifetime Newark resident and superintendent of Newark schools. Most of you know him, but I would like to say a few words. I have met Superintendent León at a few meetings, but I do not know him very well. His full bio is on the Board of Education website, and I shared a link with you in the chat. Roger León became the first superintendent elected by the Newark School Board after the end of state control in 2018. He began his career as a teacher in Newark and has always maintained a strong focus on academics. Superintendent León consistently affirms his belief in the potential of students to do well and has demonstrated this belief throughout his career. For example, as a debate team coach for 8 years, he guided students to local, state, and national championships. As an algebra teacher, he supported colleagues in helping students achieve the district's highest math standardized test scores in years. As a principal, he collaborated with parents and the community to implement reforms that led the school to become the top performing high school in the city, one of the top 75 in the state, and among the top high schools in the country. As an assistant superintendent, he set high academic standards and worked to provide resources for students and families, recognizing the importance of strong community in ensuring success. Newark faces significant challenges, and Superintendent León does not hide from these challenges. He addresses them directly. He values public-private partnerships and actively seeks support from foundations, community organizations, elected officials, parents, and students to drive positive change for the Newark Public Schools. The data that Alena just shared indicate that significant progress is being made. We welcome Superintendent León. We thank him for his longstanding commitment to his students, his team, and to the Newark community, and I am pleased to offer him the microphone to talk about some of the efforts behind the data. Superintendent León, the mic is yours.
Great. Good morning. Chairperson Flynn, President Coogan, who's becoming my new buddy, and the entire team at ACNJ. I want to thank you for not only this work, but the ongoing work and efforts of the organization on behalf of the children here in the city of Newark. One of the things that I was doing during Alena's presentation is gathering 2 more documents that, in addition to the deck that will be available to you for you to have, because ultimately, in the end, not only are we looking at what's happening in the city of Newark, but also this whole notion of how we are looked throughout the entire country with urban school districts in the United States. So let me begin. The district has implemented a historic 10-year strategic plan, the next decade, 2020-30. And we began this on July 1, 2020, when the state actually officially returned local control to the district. We are right now in year 7. This year starts year 7 of the plan. It's a new educational ecosystem. And one of the very important points that I would want to make in stressing that it's a new educational system is that it suggests that whatever we have been doing, something dramatically different has to occur. So this is not about improving Newark Public Schools. Everyone in Newark, this superintendent is clear that we have to make improvements in Newark Public Schools. But that's not what the strategic plan is about. It's about transforming the district unlike ever before. And in partnership with Rutgers Newark, the whole idea that we've established what is called the Newark Schools Research Collaborative, spearheaded by Dr. Payne in the Cornwall Institute and Rashonda Jackson on our staff from the Office of Policy Planning, Evaluation, and Testing. Part of our ultimate strategy is to actually create a report that shows how not only we did it, but how larger districts can also be impacted, as well as smaller districts throughout our state and country. In 24-25, we see two dramatic pieces of data that are super important for everyone to be aware of. The graduation rate in that year rose to 90%, and the chronic absenteeism continues to decrease for 3 years in a row at 10.4%. I will be announcing at convocation this year and at the board meeting as well that not only is the graduation rate still increasing, but the chronic absenteeism rate is continuously decreasing as well. And both are super important critical factors towards the research of the data that not only Alena presented, but that we will be highlighting as well. We are a part of the Council of the Great City Schools. These are the largest urban school districts in the country. Of the 78 largest urban school districts in the United States, Newark Public Schools has the highest student enrollment growth. So all throughout the country, we have approximately 4 million less students in schools, regardless of the school type. Yet, what the country has seen over the last couple of years is that there has been the highest student growth here in the Newark Public Schools. That has resulted in the opening of 12 new schools, with my 12th school, New Media High School, actually opening this September. This has resulted in hundreds of seats that we're offering students that are either ages 3 or 4 in our pre-kindergarten program, as well as increasing middle grade school options across the entire city. Let's look at what this looks like, considering that we have just finished 6 years. So some of the information that Alena shared is of a particular moment in time. This is over the course of the last 6 years. $902 million in college scholarships have in fact been earned by students in the Newark Public Schools. 1,088 students actually received their associate's degrees. That means that they actually graduated from college before they actually received their high school diploma in June. $81.3 million has been saved by our parents because their children were actually taking college courses while they were in high school. And the last data point that Alena referenced was the New Jersey State Seal of Biliteracy, where we, as of last school year, have 1,400 seniors that have actually received the New Jersey State Seal of Biliteracy. That is mastering a language other than English. And one of the really important points that I would want to share before we move on to the next slide is that our English language learners have provided an actually interesting data point on the year that they exit the bilingual program. The students that are our former English language learners are outperforming not only all of the students in Newark, they're actually outperforming the state average for here in New Jersey. Advanced placement courses would be a clear indicator, as well as a couple of data points that I'm going to share in a couple of minutes, of increasing the number of students who are taking AP courses. We in Newark currently offer 32 AP courses. Students that were offered the new AP seminar course sophomore year in high school, 97% of them passed the NJGPA the year after they took that course. AP Cybersecurity is a course that's only offered in 8 schools all across the United States as a pilot. Data Science and Information Technology, which is a school that I opened about 6 years ago, was the only school in our state that actually offered this course as part of the pilot. And now AP Cybersecurity is a course that students all across the country will be able to actually take beginning this school year. So not only are we addressing issues that are of extreme importance to us here in Newark, but we're playing a very important role across the country. One of the factors that I wanted to take the opportunity to share with the entire viewing audience is how our financial house is in order. ASBO has issued across the country Certificate of Excellence in Budget and Finance, and I'm proud to say that we received that recognition now a 6th year in a row. Our S&P Global Ratings has been upgraded from BBB plus to A-, just another indicator about what we're doing, how we're doing, and how we're looked at from external forces, independent of any reviews of finances in the district. That has resulted in a big recognition that was issued to us by the New Jersey Department of Education on July 1, just a couple of weeks ago. So CUSAC is a review that occurs over 5 areas: governance, personnel, finance, operations, and instruction and program. Districts are rated equally across the entire state based on those 5 factors, and districts need to get 80 points or more in each of the 5 indicators. The Newark Public Schools successfully did that, even though we did so to return to local control through a waiver. This was absent any other factors independent of all of that incredible work. And I thank all of our administrators, all of our staff, and definitely our students and families for that work. The strategic plan has resulted in yet another acknowledgement. The Council of Great City Schools, just a couple of weeks ago in July, issues one Advancing Excellence in Urban Education Award to one school district in the entire United States. And I'm proud to say that the Newark Public Schools was the recipient this year for our Conception to Cradle work, a cross-functional birth to grade 3 strategy that breaks silos and advances student outcomes. Finally, what I wanted to do was thank and recognize the communities and schools work with us on the issue of attendance. We are one of the very few districts that was in partnership with CIS. I've presented to state officials at hearings about all of the incredible strategies that are at play, the networking that they've provided, instrumental to the work. Here's an outlining for you of kind of a summary of what that looks like. We have had intensive attendance campaigns. One of the things that I wanted to highlight was that the Give Me 5 strategy was something that I started, where I assigned 5 students to every single employee, regardless of title. So whether you're a principal, a carpenter, one of our security officers, a math teacher, everybody in the entire organization, all of the employees have 5 students that they connect with before the start of the school year, talking with their families to ready them for schools. Freshman orientation occurs in May, summer bridge program for ninth graders in August, and then all students are returning back to school during August orientation week. So tomorrow being Thursday, seniors are returning back, then juniors in the afternoon, and on Friday, freshmen return back to high school, and then the sophomores as well. All of the convocations, whether I have it with staff or with our students, occur stressing the importance of being to school every day, because 100% attendance is what we strive for in Newark Public Schools. During state operation over the last decade, the entire attendance department was removed. The theory was that everybody needed to worry about attendance. And while we agree with that, I've been in this district. I know that President Coogan mentioned, that I was a teacher and principal in this district. I've been in Newark Public Schools since I was 5 years old in kindergarten. That's a long, long time. And so what I've learned, not only as a student, but as an employee, is that when everybody is worrying about something, nobody is worrying about anything. So the idea that we established the attendance department again occurred in the second year of my start. Obviously, the pandemic came in, and then ultimately over the last 3 years, we've been in full effect. Whether it's attendance counselors or truancy task force, this is addressing the fact that students are not on street corners because they're actually in college because of the incredible work that we're doing in our high schools. Where is the heart of the strategy on attendance? It's on the case management. So we've redefined school leadership councils in our schools to create school climate subcommittees, as well as every student that is in a need because their attendance is getting them close to being chronically absent. We create some type of intervention plan. And what's critically important for everyone to know, people are saying, well, what's the strategy that you're doing? That's not how it works. Every student may actually have a different strategy tailored to what they actually need, which creates the At Promise initiative. At Promise are students that, for a number of reasons, they were overage, undercredited. They decided that schools were not for them. We have intensely, with the support of the mayor in the re-engagement center that he established, provided assistance and support to get as many students to understand that they're not at risk. They're at promise, and getting them back into school is the ultimate strategy there. Everything that I've just shared is something that we present in the public all of the time, from board operations committee meetings to the superintendent's report at the public board meetings, to every conference that I have with the superintendents, and I meet with them monthly. We have a Tableau reporting that on my computer and on the computer of every person directly involved with the student, they get an update. What's the attendance of the district? What's the attendance of the district by school? What's the attendance of the district by class, by grade, and by student? So we are aware of where our students always are, and working collaboratively with parents to let them know that the best place for our students to be, to get the most incredible education so that they get to do what my job is, which is to help children realize their dreams, is by having them in school where they are being provided an incredible education in Newark Public Schools. Once again, I want to thank ACNJ for your leadership and dedication to this work. And I applaud you immensely for everything that you have done and the work that I know we will do together.
Well, thank you very much, Superintendent León. I think that was very informative. I know I learned a few things, so I appreciate you sharing, and we will take some questions at the end. But right now, I would like to introduce Lauren Meehan, Director of Arts Ed Newark. She herself was a child musician, so she understands the positive impact that arts can have on youth and education. We were so excited when Lauren and her colleagues reached out to us at ACNJ to share information about their program and to figure out where we can partner. It was really exciting for me to learn about all the work they're doing for the students in Newark. There's a special insert in the Newark Kids Count 2026 featuring the work of Arts Ed Newark, which we encourage you to read. I want to turn the mic over to Lauren right now to give us some highlights. Lauren, the mic is yours.
Thank you so much, Mary. I really appreciate you partnering with us on this and inviting us here today. And it was so apropos to have Superintendent León here as well to talk about chronic absenteeism and all the strategies that they have used, because it dovetails into some of what I'm going to share with you very briefly today. And if you could share my slides, Naomi, because I don't see a share button. Oh, no, I do. I got it. Sorry.
Awesome.
Okay, so which one are you seeing? Are you seeing the one that's full screen? Yes, got it. Okay. Sorry about that. I have double screens, so sometimes it takes me a second to know that things are visible. So I want to start by thanking all of the different funders and key partnerships, including Newark Board of Education and the City of Newark, that help make our work possible. I always like to start with this photo. This is one of our early roundtable meetings. In an earlier iteration, we were called the Newark Arts Education Roundtable. And here in this picture, you can see folks representing NJPAC, the Arts Council, Newark Board of Education, the Newark Museum, the State Council on the Arts, and other arts organizations as well, because they really valued what arts education does for young people, and they wanted to make sure that more young people had access to high quality arts education right here in their own backyard. And now today we have a long list of partners, collaborators, allies, and accomplices, is how we like to refer to them, who help us do our work, whether that's by opening their doors to our arts partners, whether that's offering space so we can host educators or parents or students for a program, as well as the folks that fund the work that we do. And so, as I stated before, we had a lot of those collective partners at the table, including some key funders, the Victoria Foundation, Prudential Foundation, and Dodge Foundations, who were really concerned about the decline in arts education following the recession in 2008. And so they built this collective around really the arts education ecosystem here in Newark. So all of the different pieces that you need to effectively provide arts education to students here across the city, both in school and out of school. And that's still our mission today. New Jersey is a very unique state. It has codified arts education as part of a thorough and efficient education, as stated in our state constitution. And in Newark, we know specifically with Newark Board of Education, there has been a tremendous increase in arts access in that time frame that we've been in existence. And so you'll hear a little bit more about that later. But we really understand that the arts isn't just critical because the state says that it's important, that is meaningful, that is really, really special. But we also know that arts education is valuable because it builds identity. It helps kids with self-expression. It helps diverse learners. It supports health and well-being. And we know that it also helps prepare young people for the 21st century workforce. And we want to make sure to elevate that as part of the conversation of the value of the arts for young people. We have many pillars in our work. A big one is capacity building. And this is really about supporting partnerships, supporting arts organizations and other collaborative community organizations to provide arts education opportunities or expand arts education opportunities within various community spaces and systems. And so some quick examples of this are Summer Plus, now Summer Quest, the summer school program with the district. We have provided the arts instruction for that program for the last 14 years as of this summer. And so that means that you've got 15 sites across the city where students get to access dance, drama, music, visual arts, and all kinds of other really exciting arts education opportunities. We also supported the work of the Save the Music Foundation, who offered tremendous grant support to the district starting back in 2017 and helped support the 98% access we see in music education across the district. And we also had the Victoria Schools grant program, which we ran for several years, which allowed us to support at a very high level 9 schools across the board in terms of traditional public schools, MBOE, and charter schools. And that impacted, over 3,000 students. So when you look at this as a whole, we're touching a lot of students across the city with the work that we do each year. Another big part of the capacity building work that we do is around data and evaluation. And that's really about helping to build the narrative and help tell the story of the impact of arts education here in Newark. Another big pillar of the work that we do, because I cannot talk about it, is the actual cool stuff we get to do with young people in the arts. And so these are events like Self-Care Summer, which is a program we anchor from June until the Newark Arts Festival for Kids in October, where we highlight all the amazing family, kid, and overall community activities that you can participate in within the arts. We create activations ourselves, including All Together Now, which was formerly known as Make Music Day, which is about creating music in community with whatever you have. So we've done recyclable music instruments. We've had the symphony come with their petting zoo to allow students to play on the instruments. This includes National Night Out, so supporting United Parks as One in the South Ward to provide breakdancing classes and highlight student DJs and provide all these fabulous kinds of arts opportunities for young people, again, right in their backyards, right in their neighborhoods. I also mentioned NAF Kids. This is a highlight from a couple of years ago. It will be on October 10th this year, and it will be hosted at Newark Vocational High School on West Kinney, so the district's vocational high school. And we're very excited about that. Student artwork, student performances. It's going to be a wonderful time, and we hope you will all join us then. So stepping back a little bit to talk about the data and evaluation work that we do at Arts Ed Newark and why that's so important and so meaningful is because when those lovely people are on the table I showed you earlier, we're really thinking about the structure and how to build kind of this vision around supporting arts education for young people. They really took a liking to what Kenya and Kramer had talked about in the Stanford Social Innovation Review, which many of you might have heard of, something called collective impact. And a key pillar of that, when you look at these 5 particular branches that are often highlighted, shared measurement systems is number 2. We're really clear on that common agenda. I feel like I've said it a lot today, making sure our young people have access to arts education in and out of school. But we also have to be measuring and understanding the impact that we're having, where there are gaps. And so we spent a lot of time going back as far as 2014 and 2015 to really build out a committee to think through how did we want to do this, right? There's a lot of ethics in understanding and evaluating what's happening with young people, but we also knew that it was important to be able to understand the progress we were making and the impact we were having. And so over the last 12 years, we've had 20 or so partner organizations who have helped develop, implement, collect data on, and analyze student surveys, parent surveys, and teacher surveys around the impact of arts education. And we have tens of thousands of completed surveys by students in our community. And what I want to really highlight is, right, evaluation is the way to show critical impact of arts education in Newark. What's unique about the way we do it is that it directly comes from students, parents, and educators. So we're hearing straight from our constituent, right? Straight from the young person whose life we're trying to make richer and who we're trying to bring these wonderful experiences to. That is who we are speaking to in trying to understand this work. And those are also the people we worked with to help develop these survey tools as well, to make sure that we are understanding community needs and asking the right questions in these surveys to help us do our work more meaningfully. And so some sample indicators of some of the things that student survey measures are things like agency, empathy, resilience, confidence, among many others. And when we look at outcomes directly, we see students are increasing their resilience. When they set a goal, they don't give up. They know they can do hard things, which is really, really important. We see them recognizing their own creativity. We see a lot of students wanting more new experiences, so really hitting on confidence and curiosity. And we see that students are more engaged in their learning. And that's not just necessarily in the arts instruction that we're providing, but overall in their experiences as a student. And so this is a summer quest student response saying the most interesting thing I've done this summer is dance. And there's lots of different things that we've heard from students over the year about these experiences. But what's great about Summer Quest is that it's accessible to all students across the city of Newark. So you do not have to be enrolled in Newark Board of Education in order to participate. And we see many students who don't have access during the school year who participate in Summer Quest. This is sometimes their first really deep, meaningful arts experience. And so we see a lot of positive feedback from like our charter students or students who are not necessarily in Newark Board of Education. You can see a lot of the data reports that we have put together over the years on our website, and I encourage you to do that. That would be at artsednewark.org/data. Of course, I'm really excited about our special feature, which touches on the emerging data around the relationship between increased arts access and chronic absenteeism. We are going to take a deeper dive into that conversation. We're actually releasing a report later this year, which brings me to my next slide. I would love for you to save the date on your calendars. So on Wednesday, October 27th at the Newark Public Library, we will be presenting that report on arts education and chronic absenteeism, specifically within the context of Newark, and elevating, once again, the amazing work that Newark Board of Education is doing and continues to do with our young people around both the arts and having kids show up and come to school every day, right? By creating an environment that wants that. We know that when students have something creative to do, something exciting to do, right, that helps additionally motivate them to be in that building every day. And Newark Board of Education's visual performing arts team, as well as the superintendent, understand that arts are valuable no matter what, but are also an important way to engage students and get them into the building. So we're excited to talk about the emerging data across the field, as well as specifically the impact that we have seen more locally in Newark. You can find us on all the platforms, I think. We're not really active on Twitter, but across everything else, we're at Arts Ed Newark. You can find our podcasts also on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, and Amazon Music. And we would love to have you join us in the work that we're doing. It's a really beautiful community. It's an exciting place to be, and we're grateful that we get to do it every single day. So thank you so much for having us, Mary.
Great. Thank you so much, Lauren. That was really helpful, and I hope people join you on October 27th to hear more about the release of the report you've put together, because I think making that connection between the arts and kids going to school is really important and increasing their learning capability. Just a couple housekeeping tours. If people are interested, you can download the report on the ACNJ homepage now. After today, a recording of this event will be posted to the website, not the Q&A that we're going to have in a few minutes, but the actual presentations and all the different slides that speakers used in their presentation will also be posted to the website.